Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take the roll, please.
Mayor.
Here.
Benfield.
Here.
Brooks.
Here.
Frizzalone. Gould.
Here.
Hart. Ogala. Parker. Here. Staley Ferry. Here. Tumanello. Weigel.
Here.
Winsby. Here. And Eustace. You have a quorum.
Next we have the approval of minutes from June 7th, 2018.
So moved.
Move.
Second.
Second, any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next we have the executive committee meetings from June 14th, 2018. Move.
Second.
Second. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Executive committee minutes from the executive session of June 14th, 2018.
Second.
Motion second, any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. On old business, discussion of burning ordinance, do we have any updates on this? Tim?
No, that's just go.
There it is. You can either that or you can go next and sit at a desk. And we can
So right here then. Good morning.
Right.
So last session that we were in, you asked me to get an update with the Gateway subdivision. I spoke to Shar, who's in charge of the Gateway subdivision, and I told her our concerns regarding the burning issue. And she was familiar with the open burning complaint. She stated that this Gateway subdivision is 442 units. Currently, they have 50 to 75 residents with these portable burn units. She felt that with one complaint in the subdivision did not require any changes as far as Gateway is concerned, but she does acknowledge that we do have a burn ordinance and that they will continue to follow the burn ordinance. But basically, she said if Will County changes the burn ordinance, they will comply with the burn ordinance, but they do not feel at this time that they need to make any new regulations on the owners. I did ask them about the setbacks from individual homes, and she said they were sufficed as of right now, and that she thought her residents were responsible enough to burn on their own.
Well, let me say that, this really, we may have started looking at this as it came from a complaint, but the real issue we're looking at is safety aspect of it. Whether they think it's okay or not. It's okay until what? Units catch on fire? I mean, when is it not okay? When somebody is seriously hurt or dies? I think we need to look at it as a county, strictly as the safety aspect. What's the fire department say?
The fire departments state that they want to see setbacks from all buildings, structures.
So the owner or the manager of a manufactured home facility, I don't think is the person that necessarily is qualified to tell us whether they think it's safe or not. I'm thinking we're looking at an ordinance that's going to say that this is the best standard for these types of housing developments to make it safe. And I would look more on what fire safety is telling us, not what the manager of a manufactured home apartment. So,
And in a previous discussion with the fire chiefs, I spoke to 3 or 4 of them. They all said with these portable units, they would like to see 10 to 15 feet.
okay, well, I think that's the route we should go. I mean, I'm going to open up for discussion, but I think we should follow the lead of what the fire services tell us is the safe manner. And if we adopt that, and that would be my suggestion.
I would support 15 feet from any
housing unit for these portable burning units.
I would agree. I think Tim would still be nice to get the support that he acknowledged the fire service. They've already told you that. I think we could use hardly a bit of recommendation to move forward at the 15 feet.
Would you like me to contact more fire districts?
Yeah, well, don't they have like a fire chief association or something?
Could we get that in writing as well?
Sure.
I want people to know that we're not, it's not about neighbors complaining about neighbors. It's really about creating a safe environment, the safest environment we can in those types of facilities. Yes, Greg?
So just if we could clarify, as we have this plan, this would include grills and other burning units. And from a safety standpoint, I'm not sure there's any way to distinguish a patio burning unit from a grill. They both use the same fuel in many cases. Many cases you're using lighter fluid to start a grill. So I just want to make clear that everyone understands we're not just talking about the portable fire unit. We're talking about anything that contains a fire would be 10 to 15 feet away from any structure, is my understanding. And would it be
Well,
so right?
I mean, are you saying that we cannot distinguish between a charcoal grill or a barbecue grill
Well, there has to be
and a wood burning pit?
well, we can separate it, but then if somebody puts a pit and they put charcoal in it, they're going to be in compliance. I'm just making it clear that you understand.
Okay. And I think that we're not trying necessarily to stop people from barbecuing, even though I still think, we say it's still recommended that you keep these from your building.
A lot of house fires start with people grilling.
Good.
Just to double down on Mary's comment. I have a small, kind of target. It's probably 18 inches around. What defines a fire at some point? I mean, this is such a small flame that comes out of it. It's not for heat, it's just for decoration. Am I not allowed to use this now?
Well, it would, it gets very difficult to parse in an ordinance, sizes. There's all different types of shapes and sizes for these fire type pits. Some of them now have these, some of them use propane, some of them use natural gas, some of them have these heating rocks that they use to simulate. I don't know what is more hazardous, personally. I just don't. So that's why I'm kind of looking for some direction as to what exactly, because we're going to be charged with making this change, and what exactly are we trying, what's the goal? What are we going to prohibit? What are we going to, and I don't think it's an absolute prohibition, it's a placement of the fire.
Well, can I ask, and I'm good with it, can I ask, this is kind of a general question. Open burning is basically partly what we're talking about. Barbecue grills, where you have wood covered and so forth. We're talking about more of open burning. Whether they have it covered with a screen or not, it's open burning. I mean, I think that's what we're and I just wonder if we can craft the ordinance in that manner. Maybe Tim, you can work with Mary, maybe you can craft something, have like a look at it, see what she thinks it passes, mustard or whatever. So, we'll have plenty of time.
I think the barbecuing, if it's used for grilling, I don't think we should restrict that. But if it's just used to create a fire or sit around a fire, I think that's what it's about.
I think we're talking fuel here. What is the fuel structure that we're using? Because if you're using charcoal, the only flame you get with a charcoal is when you're first lighting it, if you're using lighter fluid. Then it goes into a cinder. It doesn't have flames, charcoal itself.
Unless you have hamburger grease to case.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, we're talking about open flames for somebody at a pit. Using a fire pit that you're doing for recreational relaxation fires, not cooking. And now, if you start throwing wood on it, you're going to have flame that's going to come up.
That's the other.
And so, I mean, taking a look at however we craft this, I think it needs to include the fuel structure that's being used.
And we do that to some extent right now. So the recreational fires are defined as using wood, charcoal, and those types of.
Why can't we just do that with recreational fires?
Right.
Well, the definition of recreational fires includes wood, branches.
But not
Okay,
heating.
but the restriction would be on recreational
Fires versus
food cooking.
and
Well,
cooking.
but camping or cooking is considered a recreational fire. We can try to redefine it. I'm not sure. My concern, and I will look to see if there's anything that addresses this anywhere. My concern is there a rational basis for a difference? When you're talking about a safety issue, and I don't know the issue. There are people in fire departments I think would probably know better, and I would certainly defer to them.
Yeah.
But I don't know that from a safety perspective, a barbecue grill is going to be any safer than a fire pit.
Let's see if the fire, they already have some language that they use. Or why we can check with the fire chiefs association or whatever. And then, right, we'll see if we can craft something and we'll return it back. It's not like
Okay.
it's not like we're in a lot of other time lines here. Are we concur?
Yeah, it seems like the underlying word here is safety. Safety is what we're concerned about. But I guess, Mary, my concern would be someone with an open grill, fire jumped up because, as you said, the coals might have ignited, whatever. How are you going to police something like that? You have neighbors that don't like other neighbors always going to be calling. And what a burden is going to put on law enforcement. So when you talk about this as safety, we want all Will County residents to be safe. But when you talk about policies and ordinances like this, the enforcement part becomes very difficult.
It does, I mean, and I'm
Right, Mr. Contractual? Yeah. Right, Bob? I mean, you're going to run out there every time somebody calls. I call the police on my neighbors every day.
We do have we created a model ordinance, and I could give it to you. It didn't have cooking, and we talked about the type of fuel, so I can give it to Mary and see if that helps her out.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. You know, when you're ready to come back with something, call the office. Okay?
Will do. Thank you very much.
Any other old business before under new business? Authorize the county executive to bind coverage and execute contracts with the designated carriers for the renewal of the comprehensive group benefits plan. Okay.
Good morning. I have with me today our consultants from Aon. Christy Lavis is our actuary, and Stephanie Howard is our executive account rep. And so we're here to present our actual renewals for our health plan. I know we're kind of short on time, which is okay, we're good. We have excellent news on our renewals. And I'm just going to go right ahead and turn it over to our consultants to talk about it. While they start talking, I am going to distribute some of these highlights. You should have them on your iPad, but if you want a hard copy.
It wasn't.
Oh, wasn't it?
No.
It is now.
It wasn't.
I think it was just that.
3 days ago or whatever it was.
Just fine. Good morning. Hi, Herb.
Good morning. As he Bruce alluded to, as he passes that out, I'm going to just jump right in, given the time constraint here. So we plan to talk through the renewal overview for 2019 plan year, and then we'll talk through some of the program recommendations, followed by some next steps. So if you jump to page 3, just executive summary of what's happening. County of Will's renewal projection for your combined active and retiree medical plans only did result in a favorable 0.1% decrease for approximately $45,000 savings in the annual costs. When we break that out by plan, Your PPO did observe an increase of 1.3% for the active, and then a decrease of 7.7% for your retirees. The HMO observed a decrease of 0.5% for the actives and retirees. The county wills medical and RX claims have run favorable to budget or expected in the past 2 calendar years or plan years. 7% for calendar year 2016 favorable, and 3% for calendar year 2017. The reason we state this is the renewal does consider the rolling 24 months through March of 2018, which did also continue to trend favorable to expected. And so trending the favorable experience of the PPO, which is to remind you all, has about 2/3 or 67% of your enrollment. And the HMO, which has about 1/3 of your enrollment, using that experience and trending it forward at the AON internal trend guidance, results in a favorable renewal for your plan year 2019. Recall that for the plan year that was effective 3/1 of 2018, the county did introduce the HSA plan, which does observe currently 39 members, or 2% of the enrollment. We did estimate about 5%, but keep in mind you do have some outstanding contracts in place, so we do expect that to move closer to that. And then also a reminder, the HSA seed of that plan is $1,350 for an individual and $2,700 for family coverage, resulting in just over $85,000 in spend annually. The county's net costs have gone down largely, and that is driven by the increase in the employee contributions and the plan design changes that did go into effect through 1/18 as part of those negotiations, which did aim to incrementally increase the employee contributions through 2021. And for just a reminder, 3/1/18, that was to be 11% of total costs. And then in 2019, that is going to be 12%, jumping up to 13% in 2020, and then 15% in 2021. The fixed fees have decreased about $445,800, largely due to negotiations that we've done with the carriers. County Will's renewal projection for your active and retiree dental and vision did result in a 5.7% increase from the current rates, or $115,000 annually. When we break that out, you have your active employee dental increasing 8.5%, the retiree dental is decreasing 1.7%, and the vision is decreasing 6.8%. Jumping to page 4, some recommendations. Moving the HMO plan to the Blue Advantage network. It is a narrow network by definition. However, it does result in $400,000 in savings with very minimal member impact. 3 members to be exact. This will require new employee insurance identification cards. Also increasing the PPO stop loss threshold to $225,000. This does result in 6.5% savings of $200,000 annually from your current level. Increasing the HMO stop loss threshold to $130,000. 2017, for example, did observe $1.3 million reimbursed at the current level, for which $700,000 in premium was collected. This does still result in a 13.9% decrease, or savings, I should say, of about $100,000. Just a couple important notes. We are evaluating a change in the HMO plan from current cost plus to a self-insured HMO plan. There are, based on potential savings, so we are still in discussions with Blue Cross on that and the feasibility of that study. And just to remind the board, AON does conduct an annual benchmark analysis where we do look at all of the Chicagoland counties and their benefits compared to the county-level benefits. This is and was used typically for the union negotiation discussions. In addition, we do administer the county's Affordable Care Act employer reporting requirements as well. Jumping to,
So just a pause. We just said a lot. I think in whole, your overall gross costs are remaining flat. And as Christy said, a lot of that's driven, a majority of that is driven by favorable claim experience, in addition to the fact that your net costs are going down primarily because of the change in contribution strategy, as well as the negotiated fixed fee adjustment with the carriers. So we did make some recommendations about changing networks with minimal disruption and around increasing the stop loss. Are there any questions that we should pause and talk about before we actually look at the numbers?
I have a couple of questions. One will be about the retirees, one will be about stop loss. And if we have no increase, it would be the absolute first it may not be much, but I've never seen it flat. So, because it is driven by claims. So, first, our retirees, what are you going to do the decrease? And the reason I'm asking is, we have more trustees that are not taking the insurance, they continue to work, they have insurance from other carriers, or they have a spouse that has insurance. I'm wondering, you know, what is driving the decrease? Is it usage is down? We don't quite have the same level of participation on this. Or we're becoming the secondary insurance for retirees. I'm just wondering if you have a handle on why that seems to be, why that's increasing.
Absolutely. So it is experience driven and utilization of services. And then also on your post 65, Medicare will pay primary. Usually what we see is on the drug side, or on the Medicare side, we see the drug being 70% of the cost and the medical 30%. Whereas on your active for 65, it's the reverse. Medical is about 7% and then drug is about 20-30%.
Which when they reach 65, they're off. They can't continue with that.
Well, they can, but they have to pay 100% of the cost. But we steer them to.
Well, that's not very practical.
It's not, but we do have some that do it, just because they're comfortable with it and they don't mind paying.
Okay, well.
But we try to steer them to a supplement.
Well, I understand that, Bruce, and we try very hard to educate our retirees why ours wasn't the best supplemental policy for them. Yes, absolutely.
Our numbers have also dropped, our participation numbers.
Well, that's what I was really trying to get at.
Yes.
Is it dropped? There's a lot of reasons, especially in environments like in government where they can retire at 55. You know, law enforcement can retire at 50. You know, I say they're not retiring, they're drawing their pensions. Usually they go on to some other type of employment or career, in which case they return to and take on it. So it's actually dropping.
It is dropping, and we're seeing more, especially in law enforcement where they do retire at 50, they're not picking up their family, their spouse, their children. So the spouse must be getting coverage someplace else. So that drops the participation number as well.
So that probably is one of the primary drivers of the decrease.
Right, so the less participants, the less utilization. And so all of the reasons you gave, they all come into play. But I think the biggest one is utilization, and the numbers have dropped, our participation numbers.
You know, and the only other comment I'll make on that is this, is that in the future, I think it is nice to know what the variances are that maybe are driving something one way or the other. You know, we're getting heavier pharmaceutical use, we have less participation. You said they're not putting their families on. To know whether it's because we're not utilizing it, because we're really being more efficient in our costs. Because I think that's important. It's like, that's the sky, you could have a problem in the program, but that's the sky thing, right? Because the overall cost looks good. So it would be nice to know what variables may be driving something up or down.
Right.
We actually read it well, yes.
We're trying to keep it down to 55 pages, so.
You know, so, and the other one is stop loss.
Yep.
You know, we always manage our, and they have something for many years, to manage our risk. And of course, when we raise what we're getting to our retention, we're assuming more risk. So the risk is what's driving the premium down. I just want to make sure everybody understands that when you raise those, it's a calculated, I don't want to say yes, it's calculated that raising the deductible or the retention is probably going to be in our best interest based on our claims experience.
Correct.
So, but I would understand you're maybe driving the cost down a little bit, but that's because you're assuming a little additional risk.
Right. Exactly.
So there is detail in the packet, starting on page 19, there's stop loss history for our PPO, and then there gives the recommendations on the increase for both the PPO and HMO on stop loss, and it gives us a history back to 2016 and where the break-even point would be and why this makes sense to raise it at this time.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, I think it generally works in our favor, but I just want everybody to know, just because we, based on our experience, we think we can assume a little bit more additional risk.
And we're very cautious with it, you're right, Jim.
Which will lower our, what do they call, what, our premium cost, or, people understand the premium cost, I guess. You know, you're self-insured, which brings me to one other question, which I didn't say in the beginning. Self-insured on the HMO. So we're taking a look at that.
We are taking a look at that. It's a new product from Blue Cross for 1119. It has not been offered prior to that. A lot of groups have been asking for this type of a product, and so they're rolling it out 1119. And so there's just understanding the changes and what they would mean for the county. We do know at a high level it would be more unified rating, so what that means as far as going from one self-funded and one insured to both being self-funded.
Okay, so they're going to offer the product starting in 19.
Correct.
So we would we be doing that before the renewal? If we
Yes.
move forward?
Yes.
Okay.
And we would only look at that if it did result in some savings of any sort. It would not be recommended if it were to increase any costs. And we are expecting to see some savings. As you know, from moving from insured to self-funded, you do get rid of some of the additional margin that's built into, state mandated benefits, premium tax, things of that nature.
And then Blue Cross would manage it like they manage their HMO.
Correct. From provider clearing
And then we just charge us a management fee.
Yes.
As part of that.
Correct.
So when we approve this today, we're giving you the ability now to switch at a 119.
Yes, so we would come back next month when we get full information from Blue Cross, just to advise the board that if we're going to decide to do that, this is why we're going to do it, and the board can decide in August to make that switch. But we're trying to get this approved now.
And the other thing I want to mention is that the benefit levels would not change, so this would not impact any of our collective bargaining
No, that's correct.
contracts, correct?
Correct.
Is it anyone else have any other questions on this part? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. So the rest of this is going to be the numbers. So please stop me if you have questions. Page 5 is your high-level summary of annual costs. Going across left to right, you have your 18 costs, your 19, and then the change. And then going down, you have your different plans. So we start with medical, followed by dental, vision, and then the total. So you can see what was noted before about a 0.1% decrease or $45,000 decrease in the medical spend. And then what that looks like when you jump to the employee contributions, they're looking to increase in total about 7.6% in line with those negotiations, which would then bring the county's contribution or portion of that total spend down about 1%. Dental is increasing 7.5%. Moving down, vision is decreasing 6.8%. For total costs of an increase of $70,000 or 0.2%. And that's where you can see the employee contributions in total are increasing 8.1% or just about $350,000. And then County of Will's contributions are decreasing about $282,000 or 0.7%. Page 6 is again another high-level summary and annual costs. You can see going down though, we're looking at it by plan for the medical, PPO, and HMO. We do then bring in that Blue Advantage HMO, resulting in, again, you can see all the way to the right, the $400,000 savings roughly. You can see the lives as well by plan here. And then nothing new on your dental and your vision from the prior page. In total, you can see that $70,000 cost increase. And this just looks at total cost, not breaking it out by the county or employee costs. Page 7. Again, you've got your by plan with dental and vision as well. Going across left to right, you have your lives, followed by your total cost, what the employees are paying in total, followed by the county's contribution. And going all the way to the right, you can see the change in the county spend on a percentage and dollar basis. At the bottom right, you can see that $282,000 decrease in the county spend for medical, dental, and vision combined. The following pages are going to be the contributions for the varying populations that we have in place. And so just to familiarize yourselves with these pages, because they're all structured the same, for time constraints, I'm probably going to breeze through, but please stop me if there are any questions. As you look at the page from left to right, we do have the noted population. So for example, on page 8, we are looking at the ASME, majority of the ASME and the non-union groups. Page 8 specifically is for your PPO plan. At the top, we have your enrollment by salary band. Then we have the current funding rates. These are the 2019 funding rates, which would be your premium. Below that are the now 2019 contribution rates. And then recall what we like to illustrate is the percent of total cost, as that is what was negotiated. We show that by salary band and then in aggregate. And again, to refamiliarize yourselves with 2019, that is going to be increasing to 12% of total cost. You can see that in the middle page. Then below that are the prior year, or current year, I should say, 2018 contributions and what that percentage change is at the bottom. So the format will be the same going through these following pages. Any questions on that before we start running into the numbers? So the PPO is going to increase 14.1% with the increase to 12% of total costs. Page 9 is going to be your HSA plan, the newly introduced plan as a 3-1. You can see, though, the difference for the HSA was negotiated to be 9.2% of total cost. And so in the middle of the page, you can see the 9.2% of total cost is what is illustrated there, resulting in a decrease of 10.4% for the all salary bands, but you're less than $31,500, and the reason for that is to target about 5%, or at least 5% of total cost for that particular salary band. Page 10 is going to be your HMO, resulting in 17.8% increase. Page 11 is your Blue Advantage HMO, which is your narrow network HMO plan. Again, only 3 members impacted here, and that is a 12.1% increase. And so that would be comparable to the 17.8 with no change to the HMO on that prior page. Page 12, we're moving to the ASME correctional officers. Recall these folks are on the prior contribution of 10% of total cost. And they did not have the plan change that was effective 3-1. So they're still under the prior PPO plan. So this again is your PPO plan, looking at a 14.8% reduction at 10% of total cost. Page 13 is going to move to your HMO for this population. Again, a decrease of 14.4% for this population. Page 14 is your Blue Advantage. So again, another 4% reduction due to that change in the network. So 18.8% reduction for this population under the Blue Advantage HMO. Page 15, we're moving to your FOP MAP population. So these are what we call the Group 2, and they are still under the percent of salary through the contributions. And so down the page, you can see your PPO. Moving left to right, you can see your enrollment, your current 2018 rate or premium, followed by the contribution, then your 2019 rate and contribution, and then what their contribution represents as a percent of total cost. And then you can see that for the HMO as well as your Blue Advantage HMO. Page 16, we start going into the retiree population, specifically for your 365. We have the PPO, followed by the HMO, along with your Blue Advantage HMO, followed by the dental at the bottom. And then the following pages include both your pre-65 as well as your post-65 retiree contribution rates. Page 17 are your PPO rates, or contribution rates, I should say. Page 18 are the HMO contribution rates, for also including the Blue Advantage here as well on the bottom half. Any questions on the contributions before moving forward?
Well, I will have one question. Are we meeting our goals, Bruce?
We are, actually. So in what aspect are you interested in the goal?
Well, that the percentage of the employee contribution is going in the direction that we.
And it is. So you can see that that is one of the main impacts here, not just the utilization, but it's also our structure of increasing the employee contributions as we go forward. So now we're moving into 12% aggregate. And keep in mind that this isn't our total population, it's just the non-union and most of the ASME folks. We still have some of these larger contracts out there, COs, FOP, MAP, those are going to go to arbitration, for MAP and FOP. So we don't know how that will pan out, but as we know, in the past few years, the county's actually been making out that contribution structure because they're paying more as a percentage of pay.
Well, that's what they want.
Well,
They're saying that's what they want. That's what I don't understand.
Right, yeah.
That was their proposal.
That was their proposal, and it's still their proposal. But they end up paying more, but for them, they know what's going to happen the year after that and the year after that, what they're going to be paying. But we've shown consistently since we've moved to this new plan structure that it is more affordable when you have a 4-tier structure of singles, employee spouse, employee child, and family. And I guess just as each bargaining unit, they have to do the math. We help them do the math to show them where the savings are at. And there's going to be winners and losers in every group, obviously.
Here's one other question.
Thank you, Carol.
That group is not eligible for the HSA, correct?
That is correct.
So I assume regardless of what plan they keep, that they'll make the HSA available to their membership.
And we are proposing that, yes.
Well, it's an advantage to their membership, I would hope.
I would think so.
I would hope they would do that. And that group, because it's the higher compensated group, certainly there's advantages for them to go to the HSA.
Yes.
Can we anticipate what's the potential impact? What would be the impact? Not to what, I mean, would it be a positive impact on overall costs?
It would. So, when we first introduced the HSA plan, we were targeting a 5% participation rate. But because we have a big chunk of our population still not eligible for it, we've only have a 2% participation rate now. But we believe that once that's opened up to the remainder of our employees, that will push that participation past 5%.
Okay. Because I do think that will tend to be a key element to our overall strategy.
It will be. It doesn't really have an impact this year on our flat renewal. It's just the numbers are too small. But as we get more participation in it, we believe it will continue to have a positive impact.
Jim?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah, on the HSA, I think one of the things that, I can't remember specifics, but the prescriptions cause that program to be a little tougher to get into.
It does it depends on the individual, obviously, because prescription costs are subject to the deductible. There's not a copay like there is under the PPO plan. So you have to, if you're on an expensive maintenance drug every month.
Every drug's expensive.
Well, some are way more expensive than others. Whether it's $400 a month or $2,000 a month, you have to meet your deductible.
Isn't there something we can look at that to make that more attractive?
I don't think we're allowed.
I think that's
And I would add, the other thing to think about too is the HSA seed is 100% of the deductible.
Yes.
And so to meet that deductible, the HSA seed is to help mitigate that upfront cost.
Correct. So we're giving you the money.
Right, so then after that,
Then we go way over
we
that.
do have the out-of-pocket maximum. So that's where the 85%, 15% comes into play. The employee would pay 15%, the plan would pay 85% until you hit your out-of-pocket maximum for the year. Then everything's covered at 100%.
Bruce, refresh my memory, but if you have a dependent coverage, each person has to make the deductible. Is that correct? Or is there an overall deductible?
Well,
I'm asking, I mean, I don't know why I'm thinking it was an individual.
Well, there's an individual deductible and there's family deductible, which is 2 times single deductible. So yes, you would have to meet that for a family.
You have to meet both of them,
Correct.
or individually.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Okay, page 19 is the stop loss that Bruce was alluding to as far as your historical claim distribution. What we have here illustrated is just a historical summary to better understand why we're moving to 225. You can see on distribution, there are not several claims above 200,000, but we did see on average 6 to 7, and then over 300,000 one in 2017. And that's expected because with healthcare costs, they are increasing every year, so the claims will just go up naturally. But the important thing to note is in the middle there you can see the stop loss reimbursements each year. So for 2017, we received about $282,000 back in reimbursement. Below that is the premium for which we paid out $1.5 million. So you can see the loss ratio essentially of claims to the premium there. It has been favorable for the past 2 years with an unfortunate 2015 experience of over 100,000 or 100% there. So favorable 3-year loss ratio, which was used if you jump to page 20 in negotiating the current threshold at $200,000. It was initially coming in at a 14.6% increase proposed. We negotiated that down to 5.4% given the favorable historical experience, which then allowed us to ask for an in-between option, the 225, which then came in at a favorable renewal or a more reasonable renewal to increase $25,000. You are still looking at about savings there of about $100,000 on that relative to your current. On page 21, it's the same thing for your HMO plan. You can see that 2017, just refamiliarizing yourselves with this page at the bottom of the loss ratio for 2017 was 179%. I noted earlier that we had $1.3 million paid out in reimbursements, for which about just over $700,000 was paid in premium, driving that unfavorable loss ratio. But jumping to page 22, we did get somewhat of a favorable renewal by increasing $30,000. We do see savings of $100,000 for taking on that additional risk, even in the event of that unfortunate 2017's unfortunate claim experience here. So it does make sense to increase that to $30,000 given the break even on that. Any questions on stop loss? Page 23 is a little bit more detail on the member impact moving to the Blue Advantage network for your HMO product. So you can see the member impact is minimal, and we have identified the 3 members in the provider or facility they're using. So North Shore, St. Anthony, and Northwestern would no longer be in network for those 3 members that had services there. And then there is one small outpatient rehab facility where no members have utilized, but is currently out of network. Page 24, we jump to retiree contribution rates for your dental and RX only with no changes. Page 25 is going to be your fixed fees, and so you can see really the summary for fixed fees is going to be the resulting $446,000 in annual savings as a result of the negotiations that took place.
And then the next several pages are actually all of the total premium equivalent rates or budget rates that really drive the total cost and how we develop the employee contribution. So that is page, I'm sorry, jump in, Christie.
You're fine.
Page
33.
to 33, all the way, 33 ends with the actual COBRA rates, but that includes all the medical, the dental, and the vision, all of those budget rates. So current and the new proposed based on what Christie has projected.
And then page 43, or 34, I should say, is just your life where there's no change.
So I think 36 is just, we want to, confirm that we can move forward with the approval of the renewal, the funding rates, the budget rates that we've presented, as well as employee contributions, as well as changing the HMO network to the Blue Advantage network, where we had indicated minimal disruption, and increasing the stock loss deductibles for both of the HMO and the PPO. And finally, we gave your approval to further analyze the feasibility of self-funding the HMO.
And then we'll prepare a resolution.
Just one question. The Blue Advantage, I've heard other companies when they've gone to this, there's been a lot more impact. You're telling us only 3 folks that are impacted on this. What's the big difference? I mean, why are doctors stepping away from the Blue Advantage or wanting to not be part of that network?
Really, from your geography, local in Chicago, the difference in network is very, very, very narrow. That's why there's only 3 members disrupted. It's really just the negotiated discount with that narrower network that Blue Cross has developed with those specific providers. So that's really what's generating the savings. And it's unique to each client that we work with. Some clients will look at this analysis and will look at the disruption. There may be savings, but there's significant disruption. There may be hundreds of members impacted. So we wouldn't have presented this to you if we would have seen that. But given that there's minimal disruption, that's why we are presenting it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we have the resolutions already prepared. We'll move forward to...
There's 2 resolutions.
Okay. So I'll need a motion to place the resolution.
Second.
And motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ladies. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Bruce. Don't say anything nice now. Now we get into committee, so I'm just going to refer to the chairman. So Mike, you want to take your finance committee? Go through your...
Yeah, we have 2 pieces of business. One is transferring appropriation in the community health center budget for contractual positions. Need a motion? Can I make a motion? So I shall move then. Okay. And first and a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next one.
And then we have designated People First Bank as a county depository, and I so move.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Mike?
That's all the business we have this month.
Public Works, Don.
Thank you. Several contracts were bid this month. First, confirming the award of contract to H&H Electric on June 20th. Countywide LED module replacement, all county board districts. So moved.
Second. Motion is a second. All in favor?
Aye. Confirming the award of contract to deconstruction led on June 20th at 80th Avenue from south of 183rd to north abutment of I-80 Bridge, County Board District 2. Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Third, confirming award of contract to Austin Tyler Construction led on June 20th. Green Garden Road District, Sheer Road over the tributary of Prairie Creek, County Board District 2. So moved.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Fourth, confirming award of contract to P.T. Farrell Construction led on June 20th. Manhattan Road District, Overlay County Board District 2. So moved.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Fifth, confirming award of contract to AC Pavement Striping Company led on June 20th, Wesley Road District Seal Code, County Board District 6. So moved.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I'd like just to point out a couple of things about time to start spending some money in District 2 now. About time to start spending some money in District 2, huh?
Yeah, okay, well, 8 and 6 have been doing well this year.
Is Jeff Ronaldson here?
Yes.
You know, I mean, I know that the committee generally takes a, asks Jeff if he has anything to report. Jeff, I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to report out on in this meeting or not, but I'll give you that opportunity if you like.
Status quo, any questions? I'm here.
Okay, all right, thanks, Jeff. Good report. Okay, next we go to judicial. Senator Butterfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have nothing to present to the committee today for the upcoming month.
Okay. Public health and safety.
And I can say ditto to that, public health and safety, we don't have anything to report.
Okay, thank you. Legislative policy committee. They don't have anything to hand us left. So, capital improvements committee, same, they don't have any big Mac, so their items are on here. We got an executive committee. We got the update of the City of Aurora precinct adjustments.
Good morning. I'm Judy Lemeyer, representing County Clerk Boots. We can update today that all of the voters have been imported into our voter registration system. We've determined that we're going to split that area up into 4 different precincts. The voters are scheduled to get their new voter cards along with all the rest of the Will County residents. They're going in the mail tomorrow. We are just still waiting. We've given you the information on what the costs will be to implement these 4 precincts, coming out to $72,418.94. We are just waiting now. Phil Mack is our representative when he goes to the courts as far as what percentage we'll get from Kane County from the selling of all the equipment and any monies that were left. We have a total of 10.51% of the active voters that were disbanded. So we'll get that percentage of the total amount that's left in funds coming from Kane County. I'm sorry?
So we're gonna,
That I don't. Phil could probably speak on that behalf.
so we're gonna get a percentage of money back for selling
Yes.
that equipment.
Yes, they've
Are
sold
we
off.
gonna need additional equipment, or are we covered?
We will, and that's all listed in the price quote that we provided to you. Any of the equipment that they had, we could not use because we would have had to have spent more money to even get it up to what we needed for implementation with our system.
Okay, any other questions?
Very good.
Next, we have removal of the election judge for failure to vote in accordance with the Illinois Election Code.
Move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Designating election judges for 2018 through 2020. Move. Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Amending an ordinance establishing or designating enterprise zone for a portion of the former Joliet Arsenal. Motion second. Do you want an explanation, or do you want to know what's being done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, David, Dick Taker. Yeah, basically, we're just moving things around a little bit. Okay, David.
I'll be as succinct as possible. Just for a little bit of background, the enterprise zone was established by state statute in 2002. Okay, the stakeholders involved are Will County, Joliet, Elwood, Wilmington, and Champaign. The boundaries over time, since 2002, have been revised several times to incorporate new projects. And that's what is precisely before you today. Okay? The current proposal that you're looking at seeks to revise the boundaries to accommodate 2 new projects. One of those projects being the Hobolt Road Bridge, the other project being a combined cycle electricity generation facility in Elwood. Interestingly, our consulting attorneys on this have been very helpful in presenting the information and seeking approval, which has occurred by the city of Joliet and Elwood as well. So that's already done. What we're doing here, and it's probably best if I could bring in prop, just real quick. I know everyone in the room can't see this, but it is in the agenda packet, so.
So it's one project, Dave, for the power generation plant? Is it in Elwood?
Yes, that's represented right here.
Now we need to include that. Yeah, let me just ask you one question.
Sorry about that.
Before we go forward on this. You know, we're always asked to put the horse before the cart. And they're not committed to building this. I mean, there continues to be a debate on the assessment. If they're not going to build it, if they have a favorable assessment, why would we be doing this now? I'm asking the question.
I believe it was at the applicant's request, number one.
I understand.
And I think that says a lot for the confidence that they have in their project going forward. But at the same time, I completely understand what you're saying.
The applicant has also said, once they're given the tax treatment or assessment treatment, they're not going to build it.
That's right. I am aware of that as well. One thing to keep in mind, that this is one of our driving economic development tools. And to amend these boundaries, let's just say that this does not go through. By amending the boundaries now, we're saying we're welcoming the new business, the new opportunity.
This is very specific to them. They own the property.
Right.
I could say that by putting them in the enterprise zone, you put additional value on their property, and you know they get that tax advantage of being there. I mean, they'll get the advantage of not having to pay any sales tax.
Sales tax on the boat.
Which is considerable on whatever they're going to build. It could, it could be enough. You'll go into the millions.
It could.
But yet, to put some more value on the property, yet they continually say, if we don't get the favorable assessment, we're not building it. So it makes me a little hesitant. And maybe that gives everyone a little bit more information. And Nick, I know you wanted to say something, but you know my concern.
Good morning, everyone. As you said, the benefit is on the state sales tax on construction materials.
Right.
It's not giving them any other benefit. Now, if they were to sell, you're correct. It is a value that's on the property. So if they sell to somebody else, they would take advantage of the benefit when they construct on state sales tax. That's the only benefit this really confers on them. So if they don't build, they don't get the benefit, because they're not paying.
The benefit is they're now in the enterprise.
Right. But
and it is a benefit.
Right, I understand, and I acknowledge that. But part of, we know these deals are packages nowadays with, whether it be tax abatements, construction for infrastructure to get there, what have you. So they kind of go together, I guess. But and I anticipated some question on some of these things, because when we do enterprise zones, especially now with the reconfiguring zones, we're usually decommissioning portions of the zone to commission new points of the zone. And we've done it, as we said, several times. In the past, we've done some of the reconfigurations to benefit the big companies, but some of the smaller companies. But in this amendment, we're accommodating both the Humboldt Road Bridge and this project. And I can't say that I know all the parcels, Dave probably knows it better than I do, and our lawyers I know are even better, but this is an intricate kind of swapping of land. If this project doesn't go forward, I mean, if it completely dies, we can reconfigure the zone again and take this out of the zone. And that's what we're doing now with these zones, is we're taking stuff out that's constructed that isn't likely going to have any new construction, and taking drainage ponds and stuff that were created after the zone was created. So
good point. We could reconfigure.
Right. We always have the chance, and I expect we probably will in the future come back with all future amendments too. This is one of the tools. I think this is more valuable than, say, a tax abatement to these companies, especially when you're doing new construction. So this is one of the big tools the county, and fortunately we have several of these, and it doesn't negatively impact us directly. I mean, it's state money that ultimately impacts us, but if this doesn't impact our bottom line, it actually encourages development. So,
I mean, first of all, well, the reason I bring it up is the whole idea of an enterprise zone is actually have development. And if you don't have a project that's totally committed, and basically it said if we don't get certain conditions, we will not build it, then I say, well, why are we giving them the benefit of going in the enterprise zone at this point in time? I understand. I just want to make a point.
Yeah.
But you're right. We can always reconfigure. If it's not built, we can say, well, we're going to move over here tonight. Okay. And that makes me feel a little more comfortable. I mean, I'll start with you now.
And that has been done before.
Yes.
Where these have been reconfigured in the past with not only this enterprise zone, but other enterprise zones.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's unprecedented where they've been reconfigured. Yeah.
Mike?
Can't you put a sunset on it?
I don't think so, because it's a vote by the members of the enterprise zone. We're just one member of the enterprise zone.
the zone has a deadline, an expiration date, you have to renew it. I mean, they're not all at the same time, but some of the zones have been renewed. I don't know if any zones have been zeroed out, but, I forget, Dave, do you know what?
The enterprise zones do have a life.
Right.
They do have a life, they end at some point.
And you have to make the case to extend the life of the zone. So, I mean, if there's no reason to extend the zone, the state would say, well, we're not going to approve extending the zone. So.
Can you condition it?
I don't believe so. I mean, I think that, I've never seen it.
I'm just wondering why
I've never looked
to
at it.
prevent.
I think Nick is correct. The recourse if they don't develop is we just reconfigure the enterprise. I mean, that's.
Am I hearing this incorrectly? My concern is that we reconfigure this. They own this property. We've now increased the value of it because it's in an enterprise zone. They can then turn it at a higher value and make money off of our decision.
They could.
And so why can't we condition it that? In theory, that's true. Why can't we condition it that you just can't sell the property?
I don't think that's the way enterprise zones work. That's why. Mary, enterprise zones, you can't put conditions on the enterprise zones.
And you're getting the development, which is your ultimate goal. If you sell it, you're still getting theoretically a development. People aren't buying property just to let it sit.
Yeah, but the thought
Yeah,
that
but
the corporation.
turnover gets a higher value. You're putting additional value on it. Yes.
And actually, Mary, you just hit the point I wanted to make on it. You got a law degree. You said better because it sounds like a win-win for us. If it does not, if nothing ever happens, we can turn around and sell the property, and certainly would be an advantage to us. So, listening to both sides of the argument, sounds like everybody thinks a very good thing, but it does sound like a win-win for us in the county. I'll end my homily there.
So I was just wondering, why would we just go ahead and approve the enterprise zone for the Hopewell Road Bridge now, and then if they come to an agreement, make that change then?
I think the issue, and I mean, we can show you parcels, but this isn't just that, it's not as clean as just we do one and do the other. a combined effort. There was a lot of time went into this to move parcels around to get the appropriate cap, because there's only, I think it's 15 square miles, is that correct? Or-
15 square miles and roughly 1,800 acres within those 15.
So this is intricately intertwined. The other thing I would just caution, Mr. Moustis is right, there has been a lot of discussion about tax assessments and things which could derail this project. But if we don't approve this, that will be another factor why it will kill it. It will kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't, I mean, it's just like any deal we've seen before us, or any municipality deal, there's a lot of factors they're looking at. This is one of the factors. If we disprove this, I think you can be more confident that it won't go forward, because this is a major piece of this. Because this involves lots and lots of construction dollars and a lot of jobs to construct it.
This is a $1 billion project, by the way. I mean, it
Millions of
forward,
man
it's
hours.
1.2 billion, I think, just something in construction.
Well, it's within the corporate limits of Elwood, and Nick Elwood has been very involved with this and has gone ahead and given their blessing to this, correct?
Yes.
So, I don't know where the county has ever killed anything with respect to.
Well, we wouldn't kill it down. I mean, the thing I'm trying to get everybody aware of is this, is we are all supportive of the project.
Get it?
So 100%, we're all behind this. But the developer continues to push for an assessment that would be outside of our methodology of how we assess other redevelopments, whether it's a nuclear power plant or ExxonMobil, and we feel very comfortable on how we assess them. There was something much different, and they have said, well, we won't do the project. They're saying they will do the project, not us. They're not saying that we don't want the project. We want the project.
Is that independent of the enterprise zone, the assessment process? Yes. So that's a total, another issue that they've raised.
Well, it's something they continue to try to push and negotiate, and Phil Bach handles it for the state's attorney's office. We've had numerous meetings with the supervisor of assessments on this. We've explained our methodology and why we're not changing it. And I don't know, Mary, if you can comment, but it's just, and they have kind of said, well, we'll walk if we don't get what we want.
Right, and I'll welcome Phil to jump in if I miss something, but basically it's a uniformity issue, Don. We already have a methodology for assessing these large industrial type properties, and we have to assess this one in the same, using the same formula as we do those. And they want us to assess it using a modified formula, which, as you know, could lead to consequences, broad consequences, which would be damaging to the.
That is not what we're voting on today.
No.
That's
No.
a separate issue.
No, you have nothing to do with the assessment at all.
Right.
No,
Nor do we interfere with the assessment.
that's right.
It's
a politically independent
Don't go
office.
Bobby Rodman, because we don't interfere. He's independent.
Making that clear.
I go back to the old days, Don, when they did interfere. Remember those days?
That was before I was.
Not me. Okay, so anyway, and I say, I just want to be aware of it. Very often we do this, and I do think it's necessary for to go forward, but I want everybody to be aware that it may not happen. But here again, I feel comfortable with the fact that we can move things around. So I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Number 5, authorizing IGA with the City of Joliet for the Joliet Arsenal Enterprise Zone. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Authorizing IGA with the Village of Elwood for the Joliet Arsenal Enterprise Zone. Moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Designated Capital Improvements Committee as owner's agent for the EMA facility project. Moved. Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Did we already make capital Already changed it for the animal control? You already did that, okay. Okay, authorizing the county executive to convey easements on the county property located in Troy Township for access to establish mineral rights on adjacent parcel. I guess we're just giving somebody access, right, to their property. Second. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Authorizing lease agreement with the Vertical Ridge Holdings for the for use of radio communication towers.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Voting bid for communication headsets for SWAT. Moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Authorizing county executive to execute agreements for and to purchase and sell properties under the CDBG and home program. Now, I'd like to make a few comments just quickly about this. This involves really a pilot program. It'll be in where we're going to perhaps take some houses, we'll do more demolition, place them in other housing. So this is kind of a pilot program. I'll get a motion. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Adoption of the program year 2018 action plan, October 1st, 2018 through September 30th, 2018. Move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Authorizing amendment number 3, RTA technical service agreement.
So moved.
Move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Replace the tires pre-posting for maintenance departments or street positions. Move.
Three.
One for the courthouse, one for Sunny Hill, and one for this, right?
Okay. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. New hires for the LCC 911. So move. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Proclamations, Herb, do you have any?
There's only one. We're doing recognizing the Eagle Scouts. Lori McPhillips requested. That's the one we have.
Okay.
But we don't have that. Who's doing that?
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Appointments by the county executive.
So moved.
Move. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
There's no request for safety attorney's opinion. Now I'm going to go through the committee real quick again. You know, we just went through them. There is going to be a need for executive session. We'll set the county board agenda after the executive session because I don't know if we'll have to include anything after we talk to Mary. So, is there anything else on land use? Anything else?
I didn't go
Oh,
over.
you did meet, that's right, that's right. You did meet. Yesterday.
We had one zoning change from A2 to A1 in Homer Township. Committee approved that. We have the appeal of the zoning board of appeals for the Javay property and feature, which we saw 2 months ago. We sent it back to the committee and to the zoning board of appeals, and they didn't change their decision, so we're recommending concurring with the zoning board of appeals to deny that decision again on the variances that they requested. We have a text amendment for beekeeping in all zoning districts. We have change in accessory dwelling unit in residential districts. It's a correction that we had in our prior ordinances. We're putting it back in. There's something left out in our prior ordinance. The other one is the outdoor lighting. We're updating that to not restrict zoning lighting in residential districts or agricultural use districts. That's all.
Okay, so you want to make a motion to add that to the county board agenda? Okay, so then, any questions for Tom? Finance, you have anything else, Mike?
No.
Public Works, Don, you have anything?
No.
Judicial, anything? No. Public, health and safety, again?
No.
Legislative has nothing else, capital has nothing else, executive has nothing else. Is there any public comments at this time? Public comments? Public comments? Public comments? Okay, there is going to be a need for an executive session for the purpose of litigation.
Pending litigation.
Pending litigation. Okay, so I'll entertain
Second.
Second. Take the roll, please.
Mayor?
Yes.
Dennefield?
Yes.
Brooks?
Yes.
Brizalone?
Yes.
Gould?
Yes.
Ogalla? Yes. Parker? Yes. Staley Ferry?
Yes.
Weigel?
Yes.
Winfrey?
Yes.
And Newton. You are in executive session.
We're in executive session.